Hello, and welcome to a new edition of Education to Best Medicine. Thanks for watching. As always, it seems we're having some technical difficulties, and I apologize for that. I'd like to introduce Barbara Howard's guest, and I'd like to welcome him to the studio. Um, Could you introduce yourself, please?
How you doing? My name is Barry Evans. I'm with Baseline Prostate Cancer and Awareness Foundation. Bring awareness to the community about prostate cancer, especially around African American men.
Okay. Um, well, thank you for coming on. We were talking about off the air a little bit about some of the significant issues in prostate cancer, and we seem to be kind of on the same page about the lethality of the disease, and uh, just in myself and the practice, the uh, real trauma we're having, and I call it trauma screening.
Yes.
Getting people to come in and get seen. You can talk a little bit about that.
My experience is uh, men don't need to go to the doctor alone.
Okay.
And that's one of the biggest problems. We
Okay.
try to do stuff alone. That's not what we should do.
Okay.
We should have somebody go there with us to help guide us through, listen to some of the stuff that they're saying that we need to follow through on.
Okay.
Our health care, we don't go to the doctor enough. We probably take our car to the mechanic more than we take ourselves, you know. And that's going to get your car tuned up at least 2 or 3, every quarter. And so that's like 4 times. So we only go to the doctor once or twice a year. And so a lack of us going to the doctors is a very big thing. We need to try to curb that and try to build relationships with the doctor the same way we would with a mechanic. You know what I'm saying? To take care of ourselves and let them know what we're looking for and try to find the right doctor for us.
Yeah, and we will talk about that because we talk about healthcare access, healthcare disparities.
Yes.
And part of that is working with who you have.
Yes, sir.
Ideally, the vision is a African American centered healthcare center that really focuses on mental as well as medical issues, but also takes into effect, and I'm really specific about this, and I don't know if Barbara's talked to you about that, about my discussion is just not healthcare for Africans in America, but healthcare for Africans in America that are a result of the 1619 Project, as well as the California reparations paper. In other words, there's a large amount of systemic and structural racism that it has black men not wanting to go to the doctor or and fearing what happens when they get there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's one of the biggest things. Is why we need to have somebody. You don't need to go to the doctor alone. Women, men, or anybody. So it's you got to learn how to educate yourself, advocate for what you're trying to get done. But like you said, having the right resources. I was just thinking about it, just growing up in East Oakland, the resources we had and the doctors. But once the drugs and stuff hit, it really got bad. We lost a lot of doctors as well to the drug use. You know what I'm saying? So it got real bad. And so
so I always try not to paint a simplistic picture of a complex problem. And it goes for us in cancer, prostate included, environmental and structural issues, and genetics. And so we tend not to be or understand that our parents' health is our health. And, I always have a discussion about how late things are caught, and you were saying in terms of your stages, and if you want to reveal that, that's fine, but not an issue. The stages, and what I found as a clinician, I'm usually meeting men in the third or fourth stage when it should have been the first or second.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, I hear that in the men's group I have. I found out like a year or so ago that I had stage 4 prostate cancer. But it was symptoms. I was having hip pains and back pains, and it wasn't healing. And I was doing all type of therapy and stuff, and it wasn't getting any better. But we never even talked about being prostate cancer, nothing like that. And so it
Because they thought you were too young.
yeah, and then it got to the point of I couldn't even pee,
Oh,
and that's when I was like, oh, and I went. They gave me a PSA test, and they was like, you have a high PSA test, you need to come back in, and then that's when you have to go do a biopsy to see how pretty much what stage I was at. They're like, no, you have it, but we don't know what stage you're at.
So the PSA for everyone is a prostate specific antigen, and the measurement of that level. Last time I remember, I think the height for African American men is over 2.
Yeah, mine was 200.
Yeah, Jesus, and so that's like 20. That's 300. But it's not uncommon because we're always late to the game.
Yeah, we're late to the game.
And I think that, all the microaggressions that happen to men of color on a daily basis, the last thing they're doing is talk about going to the doctor or going to a provider. In this case, a lot of now female providers having someone stick a finger in your rectum and then telling you to get, evaluated. So because it's a part of the care guidelines, as opposed to prostate cancer is like the number 3 cancer. I think
that was number 2.
Number 2.
It's number 2.
Number 2.
Yes.
So I think it's lung cancer, then prostate cancer, then colon cancer.
Yes, sir.
For men. So that's it. Yeah, and that's the big 3.
Yeah.
And so I think that we've kind of, for men of color, particularly African American men, it's always, having to sleep at the wheel.
Yes.
And the trust that we have in these systems have not been worth the paper they're written on.
Most definitely. But like I say, it's important to go with somebody to be there to listen as well with you, to like, listen, hey, this is something that you should follow up on. Let's check. You need to know your family history. My father was, after really talking to him, I think they did a test on him, and his PSA was pretty high. They want, but he's like 74, but he's like, I'm not going to be doing nothing. He don't want to do any biopsies or anything like that. But they think he might have prostate cancer, so it runs in my family.
Okay. So I mean, and I think too is that this kind of education for screening should come, in high school and grade school.
Oh, yes.
And those kinds of things. But now with this whole issue.
It's diet.
Yeah. This whole issue, we have red meat, sugar, salt, fat, and, moving more to a plant-based diet.
Yes.
But see, I guess too, is that it's a shame you have to get cancer to know that. To learn that, to understand that. Well, now it makes sense to you.
No, it's not even that. Even when it happened, I never was like, oh, why me? Not why me. First thing I told my friends, I got to start a nonprofit and let people know. And then he told me, like, a friend of mine was doing a men's group with the UCSF, and that's how I started getting in that and learning more about it. And I just started researching. I didn't know it was that prevalent in our neighborhood. Nobody even talked to me about it. And then more I started finding out, and I started talking to people. My high school coaches, he had stage 2 prostate cancer and got surgery. Some other people I know that had prostate cancer. So it's very prevalent. And so
prevalent but silent.
Yeah, prevalent but silent. Yes, sir. Yes. Yes. And a lot of people don't speak up on that from the issues they may have.
We're talking about fertility. We're talking about
competence,
erections. We're talking about being able to consummate relationships, whatever it is, and the fear of that for most men is even worse than cancer.
Oh yeah,
rather. I literally in my first 10 years of practice, I saw men die because they didn't want to get the treatments because they were afraid of their having erectile dysfunction.
No, it's a mental thing, and if you got somebody to love you and care about you, you know what I'm saying, you can work through that. But you have to be willing to put in the work to slow down that disease. You know what I'm saying, and you got to really want to change your lifestyle. If that's cutting out red meat, that's drinking, that's smoking, whatever you have to do, you have to learn how to change. It ain't you just can't do the same thing over and over for 30, 40 years and think it's going to be okay. It's not. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't understand that, you're gonna really lose out. Everything you work for is gonna be is gone.
And I think also that, you know, the having to get men to adjust. And I'm thinking about a conversation I had with a Harvard urologist about maybe 20 years ago, and getting men to understand that you staying alive is more important than an erection.
Yes.
You know,
it is your family,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
kids, your relationships with people. It's things that you can add value to this world without having sex with people. And I felt that, and that's
Yeah.
why I started my
And
nonprofit.
you know, it's kind of interesting because I have to take some sidebars in the show because this is so important. But I want to bring people back to some of the discussions that um, we're having that I think are kind of important, and you can weigh in on them too because this relates to our general health in general.
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit about the organization, what you want to do, what you want to accomplish. You know, where do you want this place to go?
I want to bring early detection and screening to men.
Mhm.
I've been seeing UCSF. They have an organization with the, I think, Helen Dillard Foundation.
Yeah.
And I want to try to hook up with them and try to be a counselor to get in the community and get me to understand the importance of to befriend doctors and get screened for these tests.
Mhm.
And why you need to get that and why you need to be here and understand your family history. Another part is support groups and treatment. I found that very helpful
Okay.
through my process of listen to other people talk about their issue, understand that I'm not alone.
Mhm.
They bring in doctors, they bring in counselors, they bring in different things that you need to help you understand and get through this. But you have to make those decisions to want to be here to try to fight it.
Yeah.
The next part is being education awareness constantly, just like, hey, we need to go to the doctor. You need to start talking. You need to be your friend. If you're my friend, then go to the doctor with me. I don't want to go to the bar with you. Go to the doctor with me, man. Go somewhere and listen to what's really going on. If you care about me, that's more important than anything else. And I just want to be an advocate for this.
Yeah, and I want to thank Ms. Howard for making sure you got here. I had not talked to you, and I wanted to make sure because we think it's a community-based issue, and sometimes messages are needed.
Oh, I'm thankful for being here. You know what I'm saying? It's funny that I got a chance to talk to you. I've been knowing you since I've been like the 8th grade. Even it's real.
Yeah, I'm that old. Yeah, I'm that old. You know my son. So in his travels. So
but this is it's important to me. It's a mission to me. To bring awareness to friends. Start telling friends, they like, well, how you get it? I'm like, well, you got to cut out some of that red meat. You out there barbecuing the big slabs of meat out there. That's not what we need to be having. The charred meat, the processed meat, all that stuff we need to cut out our diets.
So here's the discussion that we've been having. First of all, I want to thank you. I want to thank the management here. This is Believe Radio, RTV. It's 24-hour gospel radio station. And I want to apologize to my audience for some of the technical difficulties. And we're trying to get these things ironed out. If you really are, want to put it in this, let's talk to our owner, Mr. Adamology at Believe Radio. Give him a little piece and tell him let's get this together. Wanted to also talk about nonprofits.
Yeah.
And your wish to be one. They're important. But I would say that, and I was part of my show. I'm doing some work with my nonprofit since I was looking at 2009 when I started the process, and it's a process.
It's a process.
And unfortunately, this is when we talk about structural and institutional issues that prevent us from doing the things like this is a great thing and thought that you want to do. It's fair, it's needed, and it's about educating and improving the community. And that's the best thing. That's what nonprofits are supposed to do. But I would say that the paperwork for it is really, really, really sometimes onerous, and we just have to be mindful of the process because these are the processes of design for us not to do what you want to
Oh,
do.
that's it's just taking time. I understand it's like going to school or anything else. You have to be dedicated to it. It's not no overnight sensation. It's a grind. It's networking. It's meeting people. It's let them know your mission. It's finding people that's in the same alignment as you as well to accomplish that mission. It's taking one day at a time. And just if you can make one person aware, that's all you're trying to do.
Okay.
But it's not no oh man, thank you overnight thing. It's something I believe in. It's going to take time. And it's going to take time for me to get out in the community, find places where I can initiate that. I'm thinking like the AAU tournaments, having a table there, held seminars.
Well, this is why we have you on because your voice needs to be heard, and
Yeah.
so this is why this whole concept was created so that community voices, true community voices, can be heard. And those are folks like you on the front line, like me on the front line. And that is the whole nature of this to lift each other up and to make sure that if nothing else, we have to provide support for the things we think are important, which is the health of Black men.
Oh, most definitely. I'm not here to beg nobody for nothing. I'm here to bring something to the table of value and people to see that and you want to add value to it. It's something you have, that'd be great. If not, so be it. But it's going to keep going. It's not going to stop.
I've been having this word go through my mind all week: resilience. What does it take? What does it take for you to be resilient? How do you define resilience?
You gotta have a plan. You got to follow it. You got to have structure. You got to discipline. You just got to keep going. You just like your show. You got to believe. If you don't believe, then who's going to believe what you're doing? You got to show it. You got to live it, and you got to put it out there. And so that's all I'm trying to do. That's what when it happened to me, I started the process of getting it going. It's very tedious. It's following through, but you have to follow through on it.
Okay.
And stay on top of it.
Right.
Read your paperwork and you
do your homework.
Do your homework. You got to talk to people. You have to learn.
Yeah.
It's a learning process. This ain't something that you just overnight. No, what's the structure of running a nonprofit? What do you do? The people you have around
Bylaws,
you. Yeah, everything.
All these go with it.
Yes, sir. This is not no wham bam thank you, man. But it's something that if you really want to have people part of, they want to see the structure of it and you want to have that.
I want to just put a piece out to I try to really cover cultural pieces and social pieces, and want to give a big shout out to the folks in Boston Strong, and want to give a special shout out to those families. It's the 10th anniversary of the Boston Marathon bombing, and I'll talk about the significance in a second because I always try to run a thread through things. And so I want to again wish the families and all those that were that have changed because of that, because from trauma comes change.
Mm-hmm.
But
yes,
so yeah. But I wanted to talk about the individuals that committed this horrific atrocity. And I was just reading, the individuals convicted for the Boston Marathon bombings were Taranan and Yoshoshi Danasho, who are of Chechen descent. Chechen is a region in the North Caucasus area of Russia. In other words, these two gentlemen were white. Yeah. And I guess why I bring that up is that, I see in San Francisco where they are trying to pin this murder of this executive on this black mayor, female mayor, saying that her city is lawless and all this kind of thing out. And it's always that bait. It's always need to check your facts. It's always jumping on red meat, and not knowing the facts.
Yes.
So as the facts come out, as usual, they knew each other. The person that committed this assault.
To stab somebody close, you got to know them.
You got to know them. So my point is that let's get our facts straight. Let's not be so quick to rush to judgment. Let's listen people out. You know, back to prostate cancer. Let's not rush to judgment. Let's listen people out. Let's learn something. Men need to learn something. Men need to learn about their bodies, and I think this show is apropos because a lot of the things that you're talking about in terms of health benefits, in terms of reduction of red meat, plant-based foods, stress reduction, asking questions, family members involved in cares of other things.
Like you said it before. You said our parents' health is our health. So if you don't talk to them and know that, how are you going to take care of yourself? You don't know what they're going through. You don't know, what your uncle had.
This is true. And it's
Auntie, these are very important things because, okay, I need to cut that out. It's going to happen to you.
Well, and I take different trait in this show and I say, well, what is going on with white men and documents? You got Trump with documents. You got this young white male Texera who decided he just needed to take documents and spread them all over the place. So what is it that has someone say that in your position you do not honor yourself and you honor your country and you would rather have that kind of information spread all over the place? And it's callous in the reality because it's not like you taking prostate cancer serious. It's as serious as a heart attack to you and twice as deadly. This young man ate Trump, now hate Biden, Pence, all of them, access to these documents that on people's lives hang. And they use them like they're just throwing paper, like they're shuffling cards. Scary. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, if people don't know what they're looking at, then it's kind of like they don't care. But they're putting information out there about what's going on. And is it good or if it's bad? They like, this is what's going on out here. If you're paying attention, you will see in how you need to start preparing yourself and getting prepared for this. So it's not nothing to be scared of. It's just always being aware and being and taking care of business out here. It's not a game. It's like, how much partying can you do?
Yeah.
What are you celebrating for? It's nothing to celebrate right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care, okay, that's what you need to do to take care of yourself, but this ain't celebration time.
Yeah. Speaking of celebration, I had to pull this up. Bull star DeMar Rosen's daughter Dear escorted out of Raptors Scotia Bank area after online threats. She's only 9 years old.
People talking about
9 years old, and you're threatening a 9-year-old over a basketball game.
Again, like the Bradley Beal got into it over somebody saying he betted. Lost money with a bet. People are really going out here betting on these players and stuff and don't know what they're going through, and you screaming at them like, dude, I don't really care about your money. See, bro, I got other stuff going on.
She's 9 though. She's a little cutie. I saw. I said, "What she was just screaming. She's screaming for her dad. Oh, excuse me."
People didn't say worse stuff.
Look here,
people didn't say worse stuff to these players and insulted them, calling them out their names. The only thing she did was scream.
I think that when you got that much time to send a death threat to a 9-year-old, she's a 9-year-old. Like she's not like 25, 20. In teens. It's a 9-year-old.
Again, little people be out there a little sauced up too during the games.
Well, I guess too, it's kind of like, speaking of which, we have to watch alcohol, prostate cancer, tobacco.
You have to cut all that out.
All this stuff. So heavy salt foods, heavy sugar, all that stuff tends to make the prostate more voluminous.
I started listening to all the stuff that I started thinking about all the older men I seen growing up, and they was having those problems. I was like, oh, it was prostate. I didn't know that. It was prostate problem, having to pee. If you have a frequent peeing.
But here's the point too. When black men are traumatized, and trauma from just an overall standpoint, the only pleasures you get sometimes are alcohol, tobacco, and sex, and that's what you do. That's what you've been freed to do. Remember, because anything else might either land you in jail or land you in front of a policeman.
Well, no, we have to find more creative outlets.
Okay.
That I'm sorry, that's just an excuse. We have to find more creative outlets. We're smart, we're intelligent. We need to use our hands. We can get into mechanics. We can go to school. We can learn a different trade. We need to do more creative stuff to keep our mind idle and not be in those situations.
Well, you better tell that to young men. I think it's between 15 and 35 that don't think they should work.
Well, no. It's about working. It's about doing something you love to do, and you need to find that. And how you're going to get back to the community is that through education. It can be through health. We need more doctors. We need more lawyers. We need more accountants. We need people to get out here to start educating. You know what I'm saying? Are social workers to help men find jobs. And what do you think we need out here? We need that. So I don't want to use that as an excuse, like, oh no. We need to. That's just, it was put in front of us. I seen it. Now you can partake upon that, and it can take away. To me, it can make you more ghetto.
Yeah. Well, here's my point too: is that I think Africans in America have played the cards they've been dealt, and we have generational families that, if not for those very, very foundational, strong Black people, we would not be here. But I think that, and I come to mind about these Pearson and Jones, these two young African American legislators that were expelled from the legislature because they were protesting gun violence. Now, some would say, is this new? No, it's not new. It happened in the 1800s. And it's been a consistent issue whenever men of color have ascended to some minimum power. It's always an issue.
Yes.
Always an issue.
Always.
And I think that
education is anywhere. It's in being a doctor, it's being a lawyer, it's being any place in a position of doing something they want to discredit what you're about, and I've seen it through doctors and lawyers. I wonder how to get through it, and just like, man, the courage you got to go every day and listen to what people say about you. You qualified to do this, but because of your skin color or what they feel about you, that or they try to belittle you.
And I think too is that what I've tried to do in this program is kind of have people understand the historical and political context by which we are number one, number two in prostate cancer. It's not we woke up and said, gee, I want to have prostate cancer. Excuse me. I could literally say coming from the womb of a Black mother puts you at risk for prostate cancer.
Oh, yeah.
And so if it starts from just being born, then everything else is a sidebar, or then because all the things we want to do, the red meat, the sugar, the fat, that's all the fun stuff. But in reality, it's the killer stuff, and particularly for us.
Oh, 110%. I was just thinking about that. My mother working all the time and just come in and we do a TV dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
in the aluminum foil.
So I can't sit up here and I thought about it, and I was like, okay, it had to be like a lifetime of things, Barry. It's like you have to. A friend of mine, he's a vegan, and that's part of what they was taught. He grew up like that,
Right.
And so he never ate burgers. He never ate none of that stuff. He was, and so
even if you got cancer, it'd be a less lethal cancer. They could treat it quicker. It'd be more able to be, put into remission.
Yeah. So when he told me I have 4, I'm like, what is 4? And so, I started doing my research on what it is, like, oh, that's it. And I got metastatic.
Well, I mean, it's when, like, for the prostate, a lot more cancer is found in the prostate than normal. And so you get to that point where, if you make the prostate to a pie, maybe you got 3/4 of your pie full, maybe even a little bit more.
Oh yeah, no, I put that up in there talking about the stages of prostate cancer.
So tell us a little bit about your. This is something you can go to the website.
Yes,
go and find.
This is like my pitch deck when I send it out to people of who we are, what we're trying to do. It tells you who we are, what we're trying to do.
And this is the baseline. Say for the baseline.
Cancer Awareness Foundation.
Baseline Cancer Wellness Foundation.
And signs and symptoms you may have if you frequently going to the restroom. Like one of the guys in one of our groups, he plays sports. He was like, he drank a lot of water. He thought just going to the bathroom with him drinking a lot of water, and he ends up going to the doctor. He found that he got prostate cancer. He's like, well, how? What? So it's like really a shock. You could be in the best shape and still it does
true. It's silent.
Yeah, it's silent.
It is silent. It's not painful.
No,
I don't think people talk about pain. They talk about urgency, frequency symptoms.
No, I thought about it. You start having hip problems. You start having hamstring problems, groin problems, stuff like that.
Because the cancer is moving.
Yeah. So I was having that at the early stage, like 30 though.
Yeah.
And I didn't know.
But again, this is a discussion around us and our bodies and who we are. And, on a discussion, you come in at 30, say you got hip pain. Oh, you want drugs. No.
That's the first thing they always think too.
No, I have hip pain. I'd like to find out what the problem is.
Yeah.
But again, it's that institutional structural racism and just fair. I say Western medicine has a problem with communicating with people that they don't like or respect or love. So in other words, I really do feel that a part of our lack of care is the inability for that person that's seeing him or her to relate to that person as a person.
Yes.
And not look at that person as 3/5 of a human being.
Yes. And that's fine. That's finding a doctor you can trust. And you can interview a doctor just the way you interview anybody else to see if they have your best interests at heart. You don't have to just go with them. And so that's what we got to learn how to advocate and have somebody there with us to do you feel that vibe or whatever. If you don't feel comfortable, then you can go on to find somebody else. You're paying for your healthcare coverage, whatever. So why can't you find what you need to get what you want? It's no excuses for that. If you're paying for it, you got to.
Well, and speaking of advocacy, tomorrow will be April 16th. And in 1963, Martin Luther King provided us with another major document, his letters from Birmingham jail. And it's a real crucial document in the civil rights movement. He was arrested in prison in Birmingham for his involvement in peaceful protests. So I brought that up as a parallel to these young brothers in Tennessee. The same thing happened. Well, not in prison, but expelled from their elected posts. So this is nothing that did not always happen. And I think what's significant for you, let's see if I can find it, is that this is a document that Dr. King wrote, again, while he was incarcerated. And I kind of think about what you were saying. And he says that while confined here in the Birmingham City Jail, I came across your recent statement calling my present activities unwise and untimely. Seldom do I pause to answer criticism of my work and ideas, and if I sought to answer all the criticism across my desk, my secretaries would have little time for anything else. You have to go with what you're doing, and you have to go against the common grain, which is what he always did. And so as you continue to push this prostate cancer piece forward, folks like Dr. Frank Staggers, one of my elders who's now passed, talked about the global treatment of African American men, and particularly prostate cancer.
Oh, most definitely, 110%. I'm just trying to tap into resources that I know And when I do, a lot of them don't even know about prostate cancer, or a lot of people thinking they get that prostate cancer test, you're not even getting that test. So again, it's just educating people on. Uh,
And then you need to have another type of testing that doesn't require that you do blood testing. That would be a real
the only one that you
expanded
do the
piece.
finger
You know,
in your butt, or you
yeah,
do that, because when he did that, when he said, "Oh yeah, you gotta go
yeah.
in."
I mean, again, this is the kind of things that happen. Again, we have rectal fear.
It don't
Rectal
matter. Women
preoccupation
have to
fear.
people. Women have to go get checked out when they go do theirs. So it's the same thing with us. So
But again, when you're not taught that, when that's not a part of what you do, and even in white male culture, which should be the standard, they have an issue with it. I know because I take care of everybody. So there's always an issue when they say, "Well, how are you in your 40s? Saying any prostate cancer issue?" Well, my daddy can. Let's do an exam. I don't want to do an exam.
But that's why we need to have somebody there with us. 'Cause I went to the doctor, my father, and I seen how he act. He's a little older, and I was like, "Look, you can't act like that. You have to let them get their blood work done. Let them do the basic stuff they got to do, and so let them run them tests."
And I hear you, and I'm a clinician, but I get it. After all these years, I get why having to deal with so many. It's another. It's kind of like you die by 1,000 cuts. So this is another cut that you have to subject yourself to when you go to a provider and you have to pull your pants down and bend over. But understanding that bending over could save your life, and maintain or help you maintain the quality of your life, that's not explained.
That's why we need to go with people
Yeah.
that can help us explain that.
Yeah.
While we sitting in there like, "Yo, this is why you doing that," and if somebody else been in that situation before, they can explain, "Hey, this is what's going to happen," and we need to educate. That's why we need to the younger generation need to listen to what the older generation is saying, because they telling us that. But if we just want to run around the streets and be out there doing that, you got a window of time. You can't do what you did at 20 all the way 30 and 40. Your body's going to shut down. Some stuff is going to start happening. You do keep doing drugs and alcohol from 20 to 20 years of drugs. Who can work that long? Your body can't function. You're going to have heart, liver disease. It's something.
Something's going to happen.
Smoking sick, you're going to get emphysema. It's something that's going to happen to you. You have to change. You know what I'm saying? And if your friend is your friend, then go to the doctor with me. I don't want to go shopping with you. I don't want to go eat lunch with you. Go to the doctor with me.
Well,
and we got fake friends out here. You know what I'm saying? We got people want to go on vacation getting killed, or we got different needs of that nature. So we really got good friends?
Well, and I think too that
because you can cut your real friends on your hand.
True. I think that part of these conversations is to get men and family members, and particularly men, to think about their health and think about the quality of their health and what promotes longevity, what promotes quality of life, because you can live a long time, but it's the quality of life that I think people
they don't understand that. And I just see people like, I just work till I pass out. I'm like, what okay, you just the stuff you're working for, it means nothing. The people that don't want to do your business, what you was doing.
I talked about it last week. We have a plantation mentality.
Yeah.
And fortunately, that's the weight of being 20 people that land on this continent in 1619. And we never had and you can go back and I can see them, to those men and women that work 7 days a week. They didn't know what a day off was, and when they took a day off, they felt uncomfortable doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're uncomfortable taking a vacation, you're definitely uncomfortable with going to get examined and being told that you need to change your behavior in some way or not. So this is all part of it, because
But we need those groups. That's
yeah,
why the men's group is very important, because you hear other men saying that older men will speak, and you listen to them talk, and you're like, okay, I need to start changing up if I want to get there. And so we need to have these men groups more often, where we can have people talking about health. Everybody want to talk about finance and this and that. Dude, you're not even going to get to that point because you don't even know how to live right. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want to do a finance group or this, and make money doing this and that. It's like, dude, we need to learn how. Can you just show me how to cook a weekly meal without no meat in it?
Well, and here's the discussion too. I was again, I'm in a community practice, and I just been seeing a lot of high blood pressure. I mean, uncontrolled high blood pressure. I mean, and I think over my 30-year period, I'd see some time with the number was high, but it just seems like every other person I was seeing, that blood pressure was out of control.
Yeah.
And the reason why that's important, because increased blood pressure problems make prostate cancer worse. So, because you got to treat two things. So, my point is that you were talking about food choices and diet, and the discussion around, part of this is a lifestyle choices. Blood sugar, being overweight, eating unhealthy diet, and what an unhealthy diet mean. Probably we could talk about, but usually it's high in fat, high in salt, high in sugar, and it negates a level of activity at least 30 minutes a day for at least 4 days out of the week. So if we're not doing that, it's almost like we came off the plantation and decided that we didn't have to do anything. And that's what we did. And so now we're dying just like the ex-plantation owner. Heart disease is the number one killer of Americans. Simple as that. And then when you add on, prostate cancer, God, you add on cancer, then you add on prostate cancer. And why this conversation is important, because those men are usually silent, because it's not hurting them. Yeah. They're not complaining of anything. They may have some weight loss, may have some bone pain, but ain't nothing really going on.
But that's why when I really noticed, I went to the dentist, and the dentist looked at me and said, "Are you okay?" I was like, "What you mean?" I was like, "Pandemic, I lost the weight." He was like, "No, are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "The pandemic." He was like, "No, are you okay?" As soon as he said it the third time, I was looking like, "Oh, I must not look good." And that's when I started happening. I took a picture, like this last picture on there. I was like 165.
Oh wow!
I was 165, and then the next one when I started getting treatment, I got up to 220.
That's a trip.
And so people just thought I was always skinny.
Wow, that's a trip. That is a cold-blooded trip.
So you have people be around you, and they still don't even know you're sick.
8 seconds. 8 seconds. Yes. All right. Well, okay. So it's been a great show. We've got about another 15 minutes, and I wanted to kind of make sure we got everything in.
Yes, sir.
In regards to organizationally, youth, and what do you see for the future?
Growing this, getting out and just working with a lot of different people. I work with different organizations as we know right now, just tapping into it. I just finished up the website. Trying to get out here to work with some athletes. Like I said, I want to get out there, talk to kids, work with some schools. I want to, the same way you see the pink, I want to see the blue.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I get it. All right.
The same way
so is blue the color for prostate cancer?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Baby blue.
Okay. We're blue.
Yeah, baby blue. Right. And so I want to just the same thing as the pinks. I want to do the blue. Baseball does a little bit. I seen football. They did, I think, with the tackle cancer, but they do all the different cancers all together.
Oh, okay.
And so, but they don't really, like 74% of men that get prostate cancer are African American men.
Of course.
1 out of 8 men get it, but 2 out of those 8 men are African American men that's going to get prostate cancer, which they don't talk about. like I say, we got to watch our diet. We got to speak to one another. We got to watch.
Yeah, it's usually again high in salt, high in sugar, high in
Yes,
processed.
yes,
You know, what I see the flip side of alcohol use is sugar use. So that's one thing that just have to be mindful because they both are sugar kind of
yes.
substances. And so when most folks that I'm talking to and myself have stopped drinking and doing more sugar foods, they have to watch those. You have to watch
You got to eat fruit, vegetables,
plant-based.
Yeah, you got fruit,
lots of water,
a lot of
less sodas.
Yes, soda, fresh juices.
Your fresh juices, and activity.
Yeah, you got to exercise. Exercise. Again, you got to stay around positivity. You can't put yourself up under stress. If you know stress coming to you, but you're going to put yourself up under that stress to cause yourself stress by drinking, alcohol, drugs, gambling, however you going to add more stress, that's not excitement to my life.
Right.
More trauma to my life. I don't need that.
And so, and I think that, one of the things too is that we're so used to dying young, we've forgotten and we don't really understand how to live.
Oh man, I'm trying to get to my father age 74.
Yeah, and I think
we don't know how to live.
Too often the older men in my life were dying what I thought to be quicker than what they should have been, and they were. I didn't really understand that. I just thought it was just what happened.
Yeah,
again, I think it's a concert of things that happen for us not to. There's a concert of things that happen for us to be here talking about this and having Black men, African American men being number two. That just didn't happen. Some of these things I think are designed. Environmentally,
I've seen it. I've seen it literally change Oakland. I've seen we had businesses that was up on East 14. We used to go up there from our school to go to the print shops and the different Black businesses talking about what you can do and stuff like that. I've seen when the drugs hit and how it changed, all the businesses wiped out and that people can't
drugs and guns and drugs.
Yeah, I've seen it. The prostitution. It was in my family. Is the whole thing.
Well, I think too is that the effects of chattel slavery have had a profound effect on Africans in America, those that have survived the 1619 and brought us to 20.
I feel like this. My great grandmother was born on a plantation. She did sharecropping, and then my grandmother came to California. Everybody moved out here after she came, and she started doing various jobs and stuff like that, And so it ain't like I'm that far removed. I mean, they was born on a plantation,
right?
Yeah. Well, and her mother was killed when they was younger, so it's like trauma. It's
and ain't the only
family going through it.
You don't, and it's not. I'm not just talking about the substance issues. Also, I'm talking about the psychosocial issues of waking up every morning feeling like there's a target on your back.
Yep.
And so that's the piece that involved in degrades our health, and I get constant discussions from colleagues about how I relate to people and why I try to relate to people, because everyone has a story to tell. If I'm here to help you, I need to know what your story is.
Yes, everybody has a story.
So, and I have to be willing to listen to that story. So the other piece to the prostate cancer speak is that you can't do some things in 15 minutes.
No, it's not.
So the discussion around how even the healthcare vision is structured, so it promotes you leaving. It doesn't promote you having a conversation. It doesn't promote your authenticity. It doesn't promote your fears about medicine. And so, for me, I try to encapsulate that. And then when I'm having interviews and discussion with folks and patients and clients, and the discussion is, well, no one's ever talked to me like that. And my thought is, why not? And I'm just saying, this was not the discussions around your diagnosis and the diagnosis of zillion men of color, it's not their discussion. The discussion is, did I ask, did I think, did I do the test, and what was I going to do when I did the test? More often than not, if you don't do the testing, you can't find out. If you're not advocating for that person to do that because of the risk of prostate cancer. And if you say to me, gee, that scares me and I don't want to do it, that's fine. But if I don't ask, that's another discussion.
I'd rather know, like on the front of it, not knowing is bad, not to wish you know is worse.
So not knowing is bad, but not to wish to know is worse. I heard that. African proverb. All right.
You know, so you can wish not to know, but it's gonna get worse. Well, I'd rather know so I can make the decision to save my own life.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
because I don't want to just. What am I here for? I don't want to just be getting up here working and go to work, whatever. That don't mean nothing to me. I got children. If I have a wife, or if I have significant others that love me, I want to be here to add value to their lives as best I can. You know, I done seen people die of cancer, and they weren't out here crying and begging nobody for nothing, but they still added value to my life while they were still here. My mother, other people. So.
Well, I think too is that the sense of family and of connectedness and understanding and love, that was interrupted by us. We've done this in spite of the interruption, you know, in spite of the degradation, you know, in spite of the lack of resources. And so, you know, it's really kind of interesting to hear a number of groups talk about, you know, how they are traumatized.
Yes.
We are the picture postcard for being traumatized in the system, you know, and continue to so. And you know, the ultimate is more recently George Floyd's murder, you know, and another traumatic experience happened to us again. None of the things that we're seeing and talking about, they've always happened to us. They're just it's circling in themselves, and that's why they're concerned about being woke, you know, and because woke says, as in prostate cancer, that you understand that this is a diabolical affliction that affects a lot more black men and black men that have adverse outcomes, and they could have had better outcomes if for education.
110%. And if you have a willing friend to go to the doctor with you, don't want to sit up here and drink a beer with me. You know what I'm saying? Go listen to me like, hey, bro, did you take your medicine today? We're not eating that. I'm gonna be here with you. I'm gonna do the same thing you're doing. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta have people that's in our lives that's willing to kick in that love, and we gotta be willing to follow.
And it's kind of interesting too, is that as I think about what you're saying, the men most closest to my father were the men that did the most stuff. And they were all just I'd say, you know, like they were like Dean Martin's pack rat, you know. You know, so that's the other piece that gets involved in this, is that interconnectedness of men with men, and how seldom we are, how more we are combative, how more we are singularity, you know. Yes. And that lends itself to why we don't talk, why we don't share, why we don't conversate. You know, women do it all the time. They talk about everything.
But that's why the men's groups is very important, where we have a structured area, a safe area where you can talk about those type of things. And you can listen and you can see other people open up, and you can learn how to do that in a safe place. So we need to have those safe places where we can have doctors like yourself and people that can to structure the conversation to go in the way we need it to go. Yeah. What's the topic for the night? Yeah. And this is what we're going to learn on. And so we got to have those type of things. And it doesn't have to be at a church. It doesn't have to be anything. The Zoom calls is doing it. We just got to put the structure together and be willing to take that hour out of our time out the day to get that mental health awareness that we need.
Here's the issue. I like to use the term provider because there's so many clinicians. The issue is that there has to be, like, you have a laser focus toward it, and as I said before, if you're just balancing the day-to-days and dealing with the microaggressions and just trying to get food on the table, it's just so hard to think about yourself. I always tell a lot of my patients, I say, if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else.
60 minutes. Out of 24 hours, we can't take 60 minutes to meditate, to learn something, so that we can do something for the other 23 hours out the day to get through that. To learn those microaggressions, to learn whatever, to have an outlet, to understand that you're not the only one going through this. So you have to. If it's early in the morning, you see this most successful people that get up early morning. I got my time to myself during this time. I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to get prepared for the day, and then I go on. You got to get up earlier. It's no excuses. It's like you have to change your time, your structure, your everything, your mental thought.
I tell people, either you change or you be changed by the change.
Oh, it's gonna change you. I'm sorry. Look, when they go in there and say, "Okay, you got 8 people," I'm still hear people talk about, "Well, can I drink? You want to drink with prostate cancer?"
Well, again, the society says you can have and do and get anything you want, and that if you've got my father's, and I'll let this go because I want to give you the final word. My father went to the doctor, took his blood pressure medicines. He had a couple of conditions. One aneurysm where he had this sleeve seizure done. They ran a sleeve through the aneurysm and shrunk the aneurysm. Gave at least another 5 to 10 years of life. But he did all that stuff, but he kept smoking and drinking. And certainly the things that you do in your 20s, you definitely can't do in your 70s.
That's you doing it again from 20 to 70. That's 50 years. Some arteries are not working anymore. It's some things that just
things are not working. Right.
I'm sorry. It's just.
Well, sir, I want to give you the final word. Just give us 3 take-homes.
Go to the doctor. Get an annual checkup. You need to befriend your doctors the same way you befriend a mechanic. Everybody know a hookup on the mechanic, but you know the hookup on the doctor. What did you say? You need to get blood work done so you know what you can eat. It's very, very important. Everybody can't eat red meat. Everybody shouldn't eat red meat. It's things that
cholesterol,
you have to,
kidney, liver, all this stuff is affected.
All these things you really need to check up on and change your diet. It'll change your your thought process. It'll change your habits. It'll change everything about you.
And the final one?
You got to exercise.
Okay.
You got to exercise. You ain't got to try to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. But you got to put in some consistent work with taking care of your body. Because if you get sick, if you're not in shape, it's going to get worse. And so,
how do we get a hold of you?
You can go to baseline.pc.org, BASELLINEPC.org. That's our website. Or you can call me at 510-332-1885. We're going to be trying to get out here to the community. We're going to do some Juneteenth with Barbara. We're going to have a booth out there bringing awareness. You'll see us at sporting events. You're going to see us all around the community just trying to bring awareness and put our stamp out here to get me in to go to the doctor.
Well, Barry Evans III, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I want to thank you for coming on Education's Best Medicine. I want to thank Barbara Harwood for introducing us. All these things happen for a reason, and today happened for a reason.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate you, your work, your laser focus. It's what's needed as we battle the number 2 killer of African American men.
And I didn't even know that. That's the coolest part about it. I wish somebody told me, B, did you know? Nobody not even a friend, nobody. And so it ain't, and I'm not mad at nobody, but I want to bring that awareness to other people.
Final word.
I'm just here to bring awareness. Encourage people to go out and support organizations that's trying to bring awareness and support towards cancer. We need it just as well as they doing the breast cancer. We need it for prostate cancer for men to go to the doctor. It's very important.
Barry, I want to thank you for coming on. Been great talking with you. I want to thank my audience and all those that listened in. And if Facebook went down, it's because it went down. So how it goes. You probably catch the show on YouTube. I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to really give a great shout out to my granddaughter Jamie and Kaylee and Andre Murderer. Hey man, I hope you're enjoying your time. That's the guy that murdered my grandchild.
Oh,
Hey, I forgive, but I don't forget. So I want again, and let's get these prostate things done, okay, folks. Let's get that checkup. Let's get that blood work done. Let's get that exam done. Let's take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. Have a great one. Bye bye.
thank you so much.
Oh, great.